a strong warning that it contains descriptions of murder and sexual violence. Really, really horrific story, this one. The murder of Louise Hunt, her sister Hannah, and their mother Carol was beyond words. The three women pictured here were killed in a knife and crossbow attack last July. The sick man who killed them was Carl Clifford, a former partner of Louise. Carl Clifford pled guilty to the murders in January, but he denied one charge of raping his former partner before killing her. This week he was unanimously found guilty of that awful crime. This is a really, really appalling story of a jealous, violent, and deeply misogynist man who responded to a woman ending a relationship with him by raping and killing her and members of her family. Alison Morgan Casey, prosecuting, said this on Thursday. If he wanted Louise, he would have her. He would control her. He would rape her. He would murder her and members of her family. If he could not have Louise Hunt, no one else was going to, and he was going to take down her family with her. As I say, it's an incredibly disturbing crime. Rare, I suppose, only in its extremity. You might see sort of elements of this possessive violent behavior very often in society, but for it to go to this extreme, that's rare. After Clifford's latest guilty verdict, there's been a new revelation about the ideological pools that he was swimming in. So this is from the Telegraph. Before the trial began, prosecutors wanted to highlight to the jury Clifford's interest in social media influencer Andrew Tate, as they argued that it was revealing to his mindset and how he viewed women. However, Justice Joel Benefin, the trial judge, ruled that it was not directly relevant and would be highly prejudicial, as Tate was an alleged rapist and almost a poster boy for misogynists. He said, the prosecution suggests the sort of violent misogyny promoted by Tate is the same type of motivation that, on their case, fueled both the murders and the rape. The defense submit this material has too vague a link, and it is far too prejudicial. Ms. Morgan Casey, prosecuting, argued that Clifford's interest in Tate was highly pertinent to why he raped Louise and carried out the murders. They go on. Just 24 hours before his attack, Clifford had searched for a Tate podcast online. Ms. Morgan said that this was revealing as to his mindset at the time as to how he views women. Detectives said they had found evidence that he had downloaded at least 10 videos of Tate. On one occasion, Louise and her friends were having a get-together, and Clifford put a Tate video on the TV. In the clip, animals were being harmed. Clifford appeared to find it funny, although Louise and her friends did not. And so elsewhere, it's been reported that Clifford, being a fan of Andrew Tate, so him showing Andrew Tate videos, was one of the reasons Louise chose to break up with him. She thought, well, if this man can like these videos, how can I trust him? Now, I'm sure most of our audience will be well aware of the nature of Andrew Tate, who has made a business out of spreading extreme misogyny to millions of followers. In case, though, you need a reminder of the kind of thing Clifford might have been viewing in the run-up to his gruesome crimes, this is how Andrew Tate talks about women.
I think my sister is her husband's property, yes. When a bride is walking down the aisle to marry the groom, the father walks next to her and gives her away. But I said that if a woman is going out with a man, she belongs to that man. That's his woman. So if she wants to do OnlyFans, she owes him some money because she's his. It's not about being property. It's about the fact that she belongs to him. And the intimate parts of her body belong to him because they're in a relationship. And if she wants to sell those, he has a stake in those intimate parts of her body.
The PhD course, the Pimping Host degree, was teaching people how I managed females in those scenarios, how I controlled their emotions, how I convinced them to work and give me most of their money, how I convinced them to share me with other women, why they obeyed me.
We live in a time where the powers that be manipulate females through their emotionality to control weak men and control society.
Just makes my skin crawl, as I say, in this, we can't talk about causality, whether watching these videos caused anyone to do any particular crime. But it doesn't seem coincidental that a person who could do this watched this kind of video. And there are millions and millions of boys, of young men, watching these videos. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to go out and commit rape and murder. But I do think there's a significant chance that that's going to make them treat, no, not just a chance. I mean, it seems very plausible there's going to be a direct connection between watching videos like that when you're young and impressionable and treating women appallingly, the way he talks about women. Now, again, this is not news to you that Andrew Tate is an appalling man, but I do think that potentially the relationship between him and this case should really be a watershed. Of course, Andrew Tate and his brother have been charged themselves with human trafficking, rape, and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women, and that's in Romania. They deny those charges, and following pressure on the Romanian government by the Trump administration, so the most powerful man in the world, they've been able to travel to the US. Their travel ban was lifted after pressure from Trump's colleagues. Andrew Tate also faces charges of rape and trafficking in the United Kingdom, and 4 women who allege that Tate raped and coercively controlled them released this statement following the revelations about Kyle Clifford being a fan. Hearing that Kyle Clifford watched videos of Andrew Tate in the lead up to his murders of his ex-girlfriend, her mother and sister, is deeply upsetting to us, but sadly not surprising. This should be a wake-up call for all of the social media companies who are continuing to platform Tate and his dangerous messages. These companies should take immediate steps to remove Andrew Tate from their platforms rather than continue to reap enormous profits from his hateful content. Clifford's case should be a warning to world leaders and all those who belittle the seriousness of allowing incitement of violence against women online to fester. I couldn't agree more with that statement. You know, I know some people think, you know, when you're talking about sort of violent misogyny, making this about social media companies is a bit of a cop-out, you know, because there are broader structural issues here relating to patriarchy and misogyny. Absolutely, that's true. But I also do just think this is a damning indictment of sort of where social media has left us, right? We sort of, everyone's like, yeah, this is brilliant. We no longer have the gatekeepers. And what has been allowed to dominate that space is people like Andrew Tate, who have the most reactionary, violent ideologies about, well, in this case, women. We see it elsewhere when it comes to ethnic minorities and to LGBTQ people. And just having this space where any opportunist can make a video, and if it's sort of enticing enough, they can have millions of people watching it, even if what they're saying is untrue, if what they're saying is violent and abusive. I don't think it works. Right? I think we have had a sort of experiment in having a Wild West online world, and it's kind of failed. I mean, especially when it comes to young people. I mean, we say on this show a lot, I think the experiment of giving smartphones to small kids has been an absolute disaster, right? An absolute disaster. I think we'll look back on it like, why? Like if you were giving a bunch of 14-year-olds cigarettes. You know, it's addictive and it's full of really toxic stuff. And I don't think this is just like a moral panic like about computer games, right? This is, you know, you get teachers reporting in schools that the way some of their male students sort of behave or talk to them is clearly influenced by someone like Andrew Tate. And now we have an example of like the most brutal, gruesome of crimes. And again, we can't say that watching Andrew Tate videos made someone do this. But it doesn't seem coincidental that someone with the ideology, the willingness to do that to a woman who had spurned him might also be watching videos of someone like Andrew Tate who talks in such violent misogynist terms about how women should be the property of men. Let's end there. Sorry to end on such a horrible story to close out the week. But yeah, I mean, it is important to keep in mind what nasty things people are watching and what that can lead to.